I'm Jeanette, the Northbound Coach. Thanks for joining me today as I start a new series on layoffs and what it means to thrive in next steps if you are the recipient of a layoff notice and a severance package, and what comes next and how to navigate that, as well as I want to focus on those who remain, because that's not easy either. While you've dodged a bullet, so to speak, in the sense of continuing employment, it's still a very difficult time. And so I want to be able to provide resources and guidance around both types of situations in layoff. And in full transparency, this series has been inspired by, sad news in real life, in that Stanford University in the latter part of July has had a number of layoffs of staff members across the university. And you may or may not know, but part of my career story is that I spent 15 years at Stanford in a staff-facing role. In fact, those 15 years were years that immediately preceded my step out into developing my own business and career coaching, etc. And so I feel really close to this news. I feel for both the people that are receiving the layoff news or have received the layoff news, and also those who remain in their roles but need to carry on in difficult financial times and having lost really valued colleagues as well. My firsthand experience of this came actually within the beginning part of my career at Stanford. I joined in the 2008 time period, and as you're probably aware, 2008, 2009 was a time of financial crisis, and so Stanford did huge layoffs at that time, and I had firsthand experience of one, being concerned for my own job. I was brand new and didn't actually think that I would make it through that period, and it came very close, but I did. And I also had the privilege, the opportunity to develop the Owning Your Career at Stanford program, which I delivered to internal Stanford staff members who they had survived the layoffs but were very uncertain and unsettled around circumstances, and so really wanted to look at how to strengthen their career strategy, etc., during this time period. So, I had the opportunity over a number of years to not only develop that program, but then to facilitate and coach within it. And so this subject is close to my heart, and I am delivering this in hopes that it directly helps those who have been impacted by the Stanford layoffs. These concepts are true whether you're part of Stanford University or not. If you are in a layoff situation, which we know are common these days, I think this content will be helpful to you. And as I start the series, I want to offer, I think, one philosophical point of view that was so key to my own experience of coming through the 2008-2009 layoffs at Stanford, and then subsequently was really the undergirding, the framework that the Owning Your Career at Stanford program was built around. And this philosophical idea is that of owning your career. That so often we feel like we're in a dependent, or we need to respond rather than take proactive action, because that's sort of what the employment equation starts to feel like over time, right? You're fitting into the decision-making structure and so forth of the organization that you belong to. And even though coming into your employment, you have, come in with this feeling of, yes, of course I own my career, over time that might get a little bit eroded. And so it's important to remember that you are the driver of your career. You have control over next steps. You are not dependent on the organization. And in fact, often we find ourselves sitting in the back seat rather than in the driver's seat of our careers. But when we make the mindset shift to take back control and be in that driver's seat, it can make a world of difference in how we proceed literally down the road, since we're using that career, the driving the car analogy there. So I'm going to expand on this concept as we go through the coming weeks of videos, but I just wanted to offer it here as a first thought. So when you think about, from a mindset perspective, what difference does it make if you are in the driver's seat versus the back seat of your career car? What does that look like for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'd also love suggestions around particular topics that you would like me to dig into in future videos related to either specific things if you are in the position of being laid off or if you are surviving a layoff. So until next week, have a terrific week. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.